I was waiting for my husband to come home from work, and he was late. He promised to be on time, because today was our big day. Exactly 4 years ago, we met. I remember we met as if by chance. It's still funny when I think about it. We bumped into each other in the doorway. I dropped my phone from my hands, good thing it didn't break, and spilled coffee on it. Word of mouth and our relationship began to develop rapidly. And now I've cooked dinner, lit candles, dressed up and remembered to wear nice lingerie. And still no sign of him. I tried calling, but my husband didn't pick up. I can't imagine how he could be late at work today. Did he forget what day it was? Yes, I didn't warn him about dinner. But in past years, my husband always remembered our date. It was usually a romantic evening. And he always came with flowers. As I waited, my husband still didn't pick up the phone, and I uncorked a bottle of wine and finished my second glass. The phone rang, and an unfamiliar number came up. I answered the phone. I heard a calm male voice that was unfamiliar to me. Good evening, Linda. My name is John, and you don't know me. But I know your husband, and I can show you where he is now. Are you interested? Yes, I was very interested. And in fact, I had many questions in my mind at once. Who is this man? How does he know me? What does he have to do with my husband? And, in fact, where is my husband, since he has forgotten our date? I answered the man that I wanted to know where my husband was at the moment. Immediately, I received a picture. On it, my beloved was sitting with some girl at a table in a cafe. They were laughing and looked very happy. And the girl was beautiful. You can't even criticize her. Is this photo really taken today? As if reading my mind, the man on the phone asked if I could hear him. Oh, I didn't even turn it off. I hope I didn't say anything out loud. Yes, I answered quietly. Honestly, my mood was down and I felt kind of devastated. But I still hoped it was all a prank, a misunderstanding, or a joke. Then, Linda, I suggest we get together and take a look at this couple from the outside, so that you can put all your doubts to rest. We continued talking. John said that the photo was of his wife. He had long suspected her of infidelity, so he had been following her and found out that she was secretly seeing a man. John must have been a detective at heart or a man who liked to tickle his nerves, otherwise I can't explain his behavior, but he followed her lover and then came to me. John's suggestion was simple: take revenge on the unfaithful spouses, take them by surprise, and look them in the eye. I was confused at the same time, but in my heart I really wanted to hurt my husband. How could he do this to me? I quickly got ready and arrived at the cafe where John was waiting for me and where our couple was sitting. I saw everything with my own eyes. We were standing in front of the cafe, hiding under the shade of a tree, even though it was deep evening. And they were across the street. They were having so much fun, the smile never left their faces. They were touching each other all the time. My husband would touch her hand, or put his arm around her, or this girl would squeeze his fingers. Just like teenagers. I wanted to take a rock and throw it at them to wipe away their happy, contented faces. But John said not to get too excited because he'd already taken care of everything. Speaking of John, such a handsome guy, tall, sturdy, and polite. I couldn't help but wonder what his wife saw in my husband. He's shorter and a little overweight. Suddenly his hands, with which he constantly touched her, seemed so greasy, lustful, and disgusting. I twitched. John noticed this and apparently thought I was chilly. He quickly walked over to a nearby parked car. He opened it and took out 2 cups of coffee. I felt grateful to him, not just for the coffee, but for his attentiveness and support. I can't imagine how I would have coped alone if I had suddenly found out that my husband, my faithful and beloved husband, was cheating on me. John and I stood in silence and watched a couple of lovers eating something there. By the way, I never asked John how we were going to get back at them. Just about to do it, and our unfaithful asked for the bill and my husband paid. What a bastard! No, well, it's not that I don't like it when a man pays, but that money came out of our family budget. I suddenly thought, when I used to go to cafes and have dinner with him like that. And I didn't remember. The couple caught a cab and drove off. John and I got into his car and followed. We pulled up to a hotel on the edge of town. Our disreputable selves got out in a hug and went inside the building. I spoke first, so what's next? Are we going to wait for them to finish their business? I didn't even want to think which ones. John looked at me carefully and it was like he woke up. Apparently, he had been in his own thoughts the whole time, and so had I. He smiled, no. There's an acquaintance who works here, he'll let us know what room they've taken. Then he added, are you ready? I nodded uncertainly, but in my heart I didn't even know if I was ready or not. Catching my husband off guard like that. We got out of the car, headed to the hotel entrance, and went in. At the front desk, some guy from the staff whispered something in my companion's ear. He came up to me and confidently said, let's go. Where did he get that kind of focus and readiness? Apparently, he hadn't been planning this moment for so long for a reason. He and I approached the room of the disreputable. There was noise and shouting through the door. I suddenly felt myself blushing. I wanted to run away, to avoid going into their room and seeing what was happening. The noise did not stop. On the contrary, I heard my husband's voice, distant and muffled, as if from a distance. The girl obeyed him, came and opened the door. She was in a hotel robe that barely covered her body. John's unfaithful woman backed up and suddenly grabbed her stomach, then with her other hand she started to cover her butt and crept into the interior of the room. We went in. She started banging on the door of the bathroom and also the toilet. The door gave way and swung open. I saw my husband sitting on the toilet. He was oohing and ahhing, holding his stomach and making loud noises. My mouth dropped open in bewilderment. That's not what I came alive to see. The girl ran up to her husband and, not paying attention to his tummy problem and to us too, started shoving him off the toilet. And he clutched at it with both hands and wouldn't budge. They fought, and as if they didn't notice us, they were absorbed only in one thing, to take the place they wanted. I could no longer watch the scene. I was disgusted, and it all looked like a staged tragicomedy. Even my husband didn't seem to notice me. I turned and ran out of the room. John followed me. I ran down the hotel hallway, choking back tears and feeling like I couldn't hold them back. John caught up with me and stopped me, grabbing my arm and pulling me tightly against him. He said, I'm sorry, they must have miscalculated the dose of laxatives at the cafe. And I didn't realize it would look like this. I was laughing all of a sudden. He smiled back. We stood alone in the hallway, me sobbing and laughing loudly, and he stroked my head and held me tightly against him. It was very comforting.
Thank you for listening to the end. Please like and subscribe. And write your stories in the comments.